knowledge from the gridiron to the hardwood, if you will, as we continue with our countdown to the tip-off of the NCAA tournament. Our Sultan of the Sportsbook joins us right now, Corey Parsons from NBC Sports Edge. And CP, I think it would be safe to say that this is the most wonderful time of the year. It's the NCAA tournament. But when you go into this edition of March Madness, it's like, don't be caught up in your feelings about your favorite team, because you might get your heart broken, huh?
I don't care who you used to root for back in the day. You got to leave your heart out of the NCAA tournament if you want to be successful. So you definitely hit the nail on the head with that one, Mark.
CP, let's talk about it against the spread versus with the spread. And if you're looking at handicapping individual games, it's really not about the season. It's about the matchups, isn't it?
If you're betting singly against the spread, I think really when you want to see some of those middle numbers in that 5 to 8 point, 5 to 9 point range, you probably want to play the underdogs a lot in those cases. But the thing about it is with the NCAA tournament, if you got to lean on the underdog, you might want to play them against the spread and on the money line as well. A lot of times these dogs are going to end up ending outright, particularly, when you come to going against the spread. So you want to get that extra value of hitting these underdogs on the money line, some of these upsets. Here's the thing. You know how we go through an NFL season, and every week, novice, newer bettors will ride the favorites. In the NCAA tournament, you'll see a lot of novice bettors ride the underdogs. So be careful. You got to be able to figure out which favorites are legit and which ones are.
Talk to me, if you would, for a second about the over-under kind of thing, as far as, the matchups with athletic teams versus, teams that like to play half court, go up and down the floor versus, slow down tempos. How do you navigate that little interesting betting conundrum that always comes through every year where you got matchups featuring teams that are totally unfamiliar with one another?
I would say it's two things that jump right off the top when it comes to betting on totals in the NCAA tournament. When a game has a double-digit point spread, meaning a team is a 10-point or more favorite, bet the under in that game. More than likely, the team that's the big favorite, the big dog, is going to be getting blown out. So you'll start to see the more powerful team play some of their reserves in the second half to get them some NCAA tournament action. That will typically drive the score down. A good week one game for that would be the game between Norfolk and Baylor. The under in that game is being bet heavily, under 138. So you want to bet that. Also, unders are a good deal in the NCAA tournament because the athletes are not familiar with the gym that they're playing in. Neutral court games tend to be lower scoring.
Give me a couple of teams to look out for right now that you think may be making headlines. Who will we be talking about wearing a potential glass slipper as we move to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament?
I tell you a couple sneaky teams, right? And both of them, I got two sneaky teams from the state of North Carolina. Let's start with Davidson, who happens to be a team in that bottom of that region down there with Duke. Davidson's a team that won double-digit games in the regular season, had a 15-game winning streak, won over 20 games, the Atlantic 10 regular season conference champion. So you like the Davidson. They're down there with Duke, and Duke is a weaker seed this year. Also, you want to look at, as crazy as it may sound, the University of North Carolina as an 8 seed this year, coming up on the top half of that bracket. I look at them as a team that can hang with Baylor and then possibly a matchup versus UCLA. I would not be surprised in Coach K's last season if the Tar Heels made a Final Four run.
For what it's worth, there are always courses that the tournament follows. I mean, certain seeds seem to have a better chance at defeating each other. And for what it's worth, I mean, you look at 7 versus 10s in the first rounds, 15 over 2s or what have you. Who's a sneaky mid-range to low pick in the regions that you got your eye on?
Look for a team you wanted to keep an eye on is the Creighton Jays. I think they came coming out of the Big East, had a pretty solid Big East tournament, wasn't able to pull off that upset versus Nova, but I can see them getting on the streak and possibly playing till next weekend. Mentioned Davidson, also very popular pick for a sleeper to go a Cinderella team to make to possibly win this weekend and go on to next weekend is the Mooks of Tennessee, Chattanooga. Definitely see a lot of sharp people playing them.
Wait a minute, bro. You forgot Murray State. I know they don't have John Moran anymore, but they ended up having a better record. How can you not like the Racers?
Yeah, no. Murray State in a tough spot, though. People do like Murray State, but they're playing the San Francisco Dons in week 1. That San Francisco team might be able to knock Murray State off. As a matter of fact, San Francisco is the favorite.
Wow. Anyway, I can see that being one of those things that's almost too delicious, man. Kind of like dessert. And I can't be walking around with a boiler and my belly button hanging around over my waist. It's about to get warm, so try and keep my sexy out there. So, got to be fit and trim for the springtime. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's our Sultan of the Sports Book, Corey Parson. Hey, you guys got anything coming up? The newsletter or anything for NBC Sports Edge this week?
Wall-to-wall coverage all the way through NBCSportsEdge.com and NBC Sports Edge on YouTube.
All right, we'll make it a point to surely check you out. Here is the Sultan of the Sports Book. I got Corey Parson from NBC Sports Edge. Thanks a lot, CP. Look forward to talking Sweet 16 with you again next week.
Great cash, homie.